Hi guys, Fagun from Integration Lab here. So finally we are going to create our first basic automation, which is our Elementor form to send the data to Google Sheet, right? Which is like one of the most common, where you are capturing the data from different forms and sending the data to Google Sheet, right? So what we are going to do here is we are just going to create a new work. We have already actually created one, so we are going to use that one, and let's select the Elementor form as a trigger. Now you can see that when you select the Elementor form as a trigger app and trigger event as a new form submission, you get a webhook URL. So from that you know that it is basically a webhook based trigger. So you can also use generic webhook as well as a trigger instead of Elementor app in here, right? So let's copy this. As soon as you click on copy, you can see that this waiting for webhook response button is loading now. Okay, and one more thing about this simple response. So simple response is basically that if you are getting anything in an array format, it will automatically simplify it. For example, if you are getting a WooCommerce order and WooCommerce order have multiple items in it, and each item has its own name, price, quantity, right? In that case, it will automatically list them as a item number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, in case you want that thing in array format, you need to turn off the simple response and then click on the capture webhook response. Okay, but in our first automation, it is going to be a very simple straightforward workflow. So we are just going to capture name, email address only, right, and message. So we don't need to worry about this simple response thing. Okay, we are going to learn more about that in future as well. Okay, so let's go to our website. As you can see, I have a one sample page and in Elementor, and I am going to add Elementor form here. And now you can see my form is ready. I will just go to actions after submit. I will remove the email action, I don't want that. I will add the webhook action, go to webhook. I will paste my URL here, right? I will click on update. I will click on the preview button, and now you can see this is ready to be submitted. Test message. Okay, if we send here, click on send button, you can see here that it will send data in here. You get all the data, right? Now here this thing is called response received, right? Whenever you share the screenshot for troubleshooting with public team support or in Facebook group, make sure you always keep this thing open. Okay, because it is very important. Second, this is called label on the left side, and this is called value. Okay, so you need to keep in mind that webhook data from trigger are mapped using label name in the action. Okay, so if you change this label, then whole automation will break. Okay, so in case you go here form fields, you click on name, and if you go to advanced, if you change this name to name 1, then the whole automation will break. So don't change the label names. Okay, just keep that in mind. Now we are going to select the action app, which is called Google Sheet, and the action event which we want to use actually is called add new row. We are going to click on connect. So we need to connect it to Google Sheet, but we first need to create the Google Sheet itself, right? So what I will do here is that I will go to my Google Drive in here, right? And I have created the folder already. I will create a new Google Sheet, and I will name it as something called Elementor test automation, right? And the detail which we are getting is name, email, and message, right? Those are the only 3 details which we want. So we will connect it, and we are going to authorize it. Continue, right? So it is authorized now, and you can see the header are here. So make sure whenever you create a Google Sheet, you need to name it properly. You can't change that name after that. It might cause issues in automations. Also, you need to add headers first row to all the columns which you want to map in Public Connect. Okay. Now, what is mapping? So mapping is like you want that every time a new response comes, the name should be go to name column, the email should be going to that particular email column. So you need to map data, okay, from first step to second step, right? That is called mapping. So when you click in the name field, it will show you this drop down, okay, which will contain all the above steps, but currently there is only one step above this step, right? So we will drop it down and we will select the name. Now you will see that there is a white background and black colored text written inside it. Okay, so you know that it is mapped and it will change every time a new submission is happening. Okay, it will dynamically replace this Fagun Shah with other names like James Bond or The Rock or whatever, right? So that is how it's going to work. We are going to map email as well, we are going to map message as well. Now there are two buttons. One is save and send test request, another one is save. So save and send test request is like going to push data one time and also going to save your this action step. Okay, save is not going to push your data one time to Google Sheet, but only going to save this thing, right? So I always prefer this one. There is also simple response toggle here, right? Again, simple response is only helpful in case you want to capture the data in an array format, but in this case we don't need array format, right? So we will just click on save and send test request. Okay, so you can see we have received some data. That data was added to this spreadsheet ID in this table range. Okay, and this was the updated range A2 to C2, right? So you get the row number from that particular thing, right? So how many rows are updated? 1. How many columns? 3. How many cells? 3, right? So if we go here, you can see the data in here, right? So this is the most basic automation you can think of. Like you can use any form which is supporting your webhook and you can send the data, right? So this was the first part of the video, and now I'm going to show you something related to date and time. So let's suppose you want to send some extra data as well, right? For example, date and time of the submission, okay, or when the workflow executed. In that case, the one option you have is use something called date and time formatter in Public Connect, right? You can choose here modify current date, click on connect, right? It is an internal module and it is a totally free task, right? So you can choose your date format, you can choose your time zone, right? Let's suppose my time zone is this Kolkata and I get my particular time. Now I can just click on this thing after adding a new column in Google Sheet and it will fetch the new columns in here. Okay, so we are just going to refresh that and you can see the new column field is available for mapping. Now we are going to scroll down and from second step I will map it and I will do a save and send text request one more time. Now you can see the time is also there, right? But this is adding one extra steps in the workflow. Also, if you want to change the format of date and time, then again you need to use one more action step which is free, right? But to use it directly, there are some tips and roadmap in forum which are very useful. For example, this date and time function is very useful, so you can use this particular function directly. So if we go here, we remove this, it says PC local human now. Okay, so it will add your local time zone which you have selected from setting, okay, in the Google Sheet automatically. So you can see here it is much better format, I think so. right? So here it is 17th September 4:12 p.m, right? So this is a much better format in my opinion, right? So I always prefer to use this one unless client asks for some specific format of date and time, right? So I hope this is clear and you now know how to create basic automation, what is trigger, what is action, right? Now we are going to do a sample submission, right? So Himesh Soni, and let's add 123@gmail.com 567890 and let's send it. Oh, I forgot to add it. Okay, click on send. The form was sent successfully. Now if we go to Google Sheet, you can see that data was added successfully here. Now how to troubleshoot this data we will see in the next video, and we will deep dive inside this particular thing. Okay, so until then, don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next video. Bye bye. Thank you.